And it's all working.
We're good. Yes, it is all working. Let me make sure the audio levels and stuff is fine. Yeah, it does. It looks fine. Great. Yeah, no, I've kind of, so if you're watching this on YouTube or on the live stream right now, a couple things are different. First, we have a brand new layout, which I designed yesterday. And so hopefully it's working. The cameras are a lot bigger on screen. It used to just be the logo that was like center screen and was big. And then it was like us like crammed down in the corners, and that did not look good at all. But yeah, so I was like, you know what? We just need to redesign something new. And I had free time yesterday, so that is what I did. But I also have better internet, which I think we tested it out like last week or the week before, but that's been helping out a lot for like us not dropping frames. So apparently I was part of the problem the whole time and didn't even know it.
That's always the worst.
But the train wreck that is the captain's log is a little bit less of a train wreck now, which is fantastic.
It's more of a good train wreck.
Yes, it's. I mean, I was about to say the good thing about train wrecks is that you can't look away. That's exactly what we want. We don't want people to look away.
Don't look away. Just look at me all day. You know you want to.
Exactly.
Even though I look really scrubby today because it's a Sunday and I'm the only person home for like another hour.
That's the same thing with me. I think I'm here by myself for a while.
Although like then when my roommate gets home, he's gonna play D&D and he does that over the internet. So hopefully that doesn't mess anything up. But we'll see.
We should be fine. We'll see. We've dealt with worse. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 25 of the Captain's Log, one of the many podcasts that we do here at the Whatnauts. This is our weekly off-topic show, so you never really know what you're gonna get. Something new every single time.
Like a box of chocolates.
We might talk some news. Yeah, we might just discuss what our favorite chocolate is for the entire hour that we're here.
You know I'm
not
down.
sure how long this will be, but yeah. Actually, oh shit, fuck. I am dropping things left and right. So I have Hershey's Special Dark.
You actually
like
have chocolate on
Hershey
you. That's
bar.
amazing.
I do. I mean, it's not on me,
But in the vicinity.
Our grocery store had like buy two get one free, and they're like $1.50 each. So I was like, I'm gonna get like the regular. I'm gonna get a Special Dark, and I'm gonna get cookies and cream.
Oh, their cookies and cream is so good.
People sleep on that. On the Hershey's cookies and cream. I will say it is not as good, but it like I think there's a lot of people out there who hate it, and they're just like, oh, it's the worst. It's disgusting.
Well,
how can you eat that?
The thing is that the Hershey's cookies and cream doesn't actually taste like cookies and cream. You can't go into it expecting it to taste like an Oreo because it doesn't, but it does taste good. It just doesn't exactly taste like cookies and cream.
That is true. My name is Kyle Springer, and along with me for the ride on this week is Jess Beaver.
Hello.
Jess, how are you? It's been some time since you have been on the podcast. You have been you got a new job.
I did.
And which is thankfully yes, which we announced because you were on the show for a couple weeks and then you stopped because you got the new job, and so you've been like, hey, I miss you guys.
I do.
Get me back on the show.
I've been trying so hard to make it work with my schedule, but that's been crazy because I have a full-time job now, which is exciting instead of having no job. So
yes,
really happy about that.
Which is good. I've been working a lot more too. I'm trying to like preemptively work more because I don't get paid over winter break.
Ooh.
But they're like, you can work extra, like to like make up for that.
You're like done.
I'm like, okay, thing. Yeah, done. I will do that. And so this year I'm trying to play catch up, but my plan for this next year is to just add like 15 minutes to my day for like 6 months, and so it seems like nothing. But then by the end of the year, it's like I'm sitting on fat stacks, rolling in this money.
Yeah, it's the terrible thing about like being an adult. It's so great to start working more because you get more money, so therefore you can do more things, but you can't do more things because you're busy working.
Exactly.
It's the best and the worst.
It's a catch-22.
Yes.
For that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your new job exactly? You've mentioned it to me. You were working at some, I kind of forget what it was, but something with driving involved.
Yeah, so I'm the front desk at a driving school in the city that I live in. So it's really interesting because for people not in Washington State, it's really hard to get your license here for some reason. It wasn't as hard when I got my license like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I just had a birthday. I'm older than I was. Anyways, when I got mine like 6 years ago, it was relatively easy, and now it's a lot harder. And the Department of Licensing doesn't do any of the testing. There's only like 2 locations in the entire state that do the testing, and they both only do them like 1 day a week. So now all the driver's schools, on top of teaching driver's ed to teenagers, we also do all of the knowledge tests and all of the driving tests.
Okay.
And people get pretty cranky with me because there's a lot of out-of-state people who are like, my kid has to do all of these things, or I have to do all of these things. Because if you're between 16 and 18 and you live in Washington State, you have to get a Washington State permit. It doesn't matter if you had another one somewhere else. You have to keep that permit for 6 months. You have to go through driver's ed, which is usually around $500. And it's, with our program, it's 30 hours in the classroom and then 6 one-hour drives. And that's pretty uniform, but that's like a lot of time on top of already going to school when you're a teenager. Plus, like, there's all those kids who do sports and stuff. You have to get 50 hours of practice, and you have to have like 10 hours at night and so many hours on the freeway, that kind of thing. And then you have to pass the knowledge test, which is 40 questions. They're multiple choice, but it's 40 questions. And then you have to pass the drive test. So.
And then you have to do 3 backflips, jump through a flaming hoop.
And then you have restrictions, and you have to make it to the DOL before they close, and you have to go to the DOL.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
And especially if there's only like 2 locations, then I'm sure you guys are like swamped the entire time. And so it's like, we're actually going to be booked up for the next like 3 weeks.
Oh, exactly. It feels so bad when people call. They're like, oh, can I get an appointment for tomorrow? And I'm like, oh, tomorrow's all booked in this location. Like, oh, what about this other one? Because we've got 3. I'm like, yeah, none of our locations have appointments. I'm sorry. Well, because our 3 spots are like in the same general area, so people are willing to travel, but they're often completely booked in all of them for like a week. Because, the DOL is the worst. I used to not like it very much before I was involved in a driver's school, and then I started working here, and I'm like, wow, they're like the devil.
Yeah.
And they did it all because they want to make their wait times shorter. So that's why they don't do tests anymore, because they want people to like them more because they don't have to wait as long. But
they should just be like Oprah and just start passing them out. And you get a driver's license. You get a driver's license.
You made it here. Here you go.
Yeah, it's a participation prize. So I'm assuming because you work at a driver's school that you actually drive yourself. Like you have your license and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have a car. I've been driving since I was 15.
Okay.
I'm the oldest of 4 siblings, so my parents were kind of like, if you want to get anything done, if you want to do anything on your own time, if you want to go to running start and take college classes, you need to start driving.
Yeah. And you also, so I'm asking a series of questions here. You also just had a birthday.
Yeah.
This past week.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess for people listening to this once it goes public will have been 2 weeks ago, but How old did you just turn?
I'm 23 now, and I have really mixed feelings
23.
about it. Which,
Mixed feelings? How?
yeah, which I know it sounds stupid because I don't necessarily feel like I'm old, but I have this thing where I hate the number 3. I also hate the number 8. I genuinely don't know why. I don't like math in general, but I hate
Wait
those
till you
numbers.
become 38 or 83.
I know, I don't want to be in my 30s. Luckily, I've got a while. But yeah, I really liked the number 22 and I liked being 22. And I feel like I'm also at this point where,
Is it Mannix 38?
yeah, he's 38. He's an old man. That's what Eric
What a
Mannix
geezer.
is.
Wow.
um, it's really weird. Hey, Sokka, stop eating that.
We
You're
love you,
gonna
Derek.
throw up. Sorry, I have a cat and he's eating things that he shouldn't be eating. But yeah, I think a lot of my mixed feelings are one that I just don't like the number 3, and then also I was talking to my boyfriend about it, and he's 24. He'll be 25 in April. And we were both kind of talking about like 23 isn't where you start to get old, but you're not necessarily young anymore. Like
Yeah.
you're not
You're not the like
I'm not
young
a young
college
adult.
age where you just want to party and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
it.
I'm not a young
It's like,
adult.
okay, I'm actually
just an
somewhat
adult.
of an adult now, and I need to figure out my life if I haven't already.
Yeah, which I thought I had figured out, and now I don't. So it's especially like I remember being in middle school, and we can all laugh at this now, being like, I'm gonna be married by 22, and then I'm gonna have babies by 27. And it's like, well,
Did you do those?
I've got a boyfriend and a cat.
The
Yes!
things where you like, picture numbers and shit. If
Yeah, I don't know what
you
that's
guys are
called.
watching the live stream or on YouTube, I'm doing some weird little finger
Little, like,
motion
fortune
things. I don't know what
tellers.
these things are called.
I think they're just called
It was those.
fortune tellers. I don't know.
I thought there was a special name for them. It was like some origami, like you fold up some piece of paper with all this information on it into like these cone-like things, and you could like separate them and read them, and based off like what you picked, it would give you different answers and stuff.
Yeah, no, I totally did this all
And
the
it was
time.
like, yeah, like at 23, you're gonna be married, and you're gonna be married to Jim.
Yeah, it's gonna be this guy in your middle school class, and you're gonna have this many kids, and this is gonna be your job. I played MASH all the time a lot too as a kid.
I think that's what it was. I think that's what we called it. MASH.
Well, MASH is the
or
one
something. It
where
was like
so I googled.
married. Something. It was an acronym.
Yeah, it was mansion, apartment, shack, house, and then
Okay, yeah.
you had so those were options you would live in, and then you had who you were gonna marry, how many kids you were gonna have, if sometimes if you had any pets, and then like what job you would have out of a category of like 4 or something, and then you would either pick a number, or usually like my friends, they'd draw a spiral on the paper, and when you tell them to stop, they'd stop and they'd count the lines. And then so say your number is 5, every 5 you cross one off until you've only got one left.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. Yeah. The weird things we did in middle school.
Trying to get our shit together even back then.
Yep. Except I don't talk to anyone from my middle school or high school.
I talked to
I didn't keep up with anyone.
2 people. And one of them I've known since middle
There you
school.
go.
So she's like my sister. And then the other person, I've known her since high school, and we were good friends in high school, and we're just both really bad at, well, I should say I'm really bad at keeping in touch with people, and she's really understanding of it. And I feel like that's because maybe she's the same way, but I don't know. I'm not going to like come out and be like, hey, friend, you're bad at keeping in touch with people, because it's definitely me. But she's really understanding of it, so it's nice because it's like I invited her to my birthday, and I hadn't seen her since like April or something, and it was super chill. There was no like, you
Yeah.
haven't talked to me. It was just like, we're friends. It's chill. It's fine. And that's what being an adult is. You never see your friends.
Yep, exactly. I'm definitely more of the type. It's like, okay, well, if you're not talking to me, I'm not talking to you. So that's just how it's gonna be.
Mhm.
But no. So I was asking about if you had a license and how old you are, because I'll be 28 in November,
Mhm.
and I don't have my license yet. I have a permit, but I've just never gone to get my license, and it's kind of a story.
Yeah. Okay.
So in Virginia, I think you can get your permit when you're 15 and a half.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
And then yeah, you have to do all the driver's ed, which they do through like the high schools, and then you have to do like 40 hours of driving and stuff like that. But then like if you reach a certain age, like I think if you reach age like 18 or 21, I forget which one it is. It's that thing where you can kind of sign off on your own like driving hours. So they're just like, well, forget that. I guess you don't really have to do the hours. You're also kind of an adult now, so you're responsible, so I guess you can just come in and take the test whenever you want, but yeah, so I grew up in middle school. I moved to a new house, and that new house I was in was across the street from one of my best friends at the time, and he had his license, so I never really needed it because we all went to the same stuff. So I just went with him, and that was through that was through all of middle school, and then high school was kind of the same way. Like all of my friends, we all just did the same things. So I never needed a car because they all had them. And then it got to be like my junior, senior year, and it's like, okay, I need to start buckling down and get my permit and start getting all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, well, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be free all summer, so why don't I just do it in the summer? And like, it makes so much sense. I won't have school. There's all this time, and then of course summer comes, and I'm gone the entire summer at my church's camp. So I was like, okay, well, that's not happening. I'll do it when I get back. And then I get back, and I got my first job. So I was like, okay, well, now I'm tied up in that. Like, I don't have time to do all of that stuff. And then it's like, okay, now I'm going to wait till after my AP tests. And then I was like, well, okay, the AP tests are here, and I still haven't gotten them, And then, yeah, it was just like, well, okay, now I'm moving away for college. I guess I still haven't gotten this. That's weird. And no, so like one time it was, I think after my AP test, before I had moved to college, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get this done. Like, I need to. So I studied, went to I went to all their online resources and stuff like that. And the night before, my dad comes in my room and is like, so we lost your birth certificate, and we don't have enough ID for you to get this done, and so now technically you don't exist. So it's it's somewhere in the house, but we just don't know where. So I was like, oh, great, thanks, Dad.
You're like, thanks for telling me earlier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was one of those things, like, you put it away to, like, safe keep it because that's something you don't want to lose, but then you don't ever need
You're
it,
like, where did I put it,
except for these, like, big important things. And yeah, so it's just like, where the fuck did I put that?
I did that with my passport.
What is happening, Yeah. And so, yeah, there was, like, the night before, it's like, oh, we actually need, like, multiple forms of ID for him. We should start looking for that. And they're like, we can't find your birth certificate. So that was terrible. That next day I was like, well, okay. And it took them like 3 months, and they finally found it. But then by then it was just like, well,
it's all gone.
I'm going to college, so
Peace.
Thanks, guys. Peace. And yeah, and then I'm here in Richmond now, and I've been here for what? I've been here for 10 years now, and yeah, it's just one of those things. Like it's a city. Everything is right next to each other. I'm walking distance from my school when I was still in school. I'm walking distance from my job now. Like I'm walking distance from the grocery store, from the comic book store, from all of that stuff. It's like I don't even need it, and it's just a hassle to have a car here. So didn't do it. You want to know what the kicker is though? I want to say it was my junior year. We were helping this guy move into somehow my dad kind of knew him from church, or the guy that was moving to Virginia knew a friend of my dad's. Mm-hmm. So he got hooked up. Like, hey, go talk with these guys. They'll help you move into your new spot and stuff like that. So we go to help this guy move some furniture, and apparently we get there on the wrong day. And it's like, oh, it's next week. Okay, well, we'll be back, next week. So we're driving home, and we pass a Walmart. And in the parking lot of this Walmart is this old muscle car sitting in the back of the parking lot with a for sale sign in the back. And of course, like 17-year-old Kyle was like, Dad, we have to at least go look. Let's at least see how much it is. And it's this red muscle car with 2 black racing stripes, and it looks amazing. And so we write the number down. We call the guy. We end up buying it. And I work for like 6 months, just like all of my checks from my job go straight back to my parents to pay off this car. It was dirt cheap, but I had I was making minimum
when you're a
wage,
teenager, you have
so
no money.
Yeah. But I had a car. I bought myself a car, and it was this sweet ass muscle car. And so when I went off to college, it was still at my parents' house, but then they had to move. So they were like, well, what do we do with your car? I was like, well, bring it to Richmond. I'll figure it out. And so I had the car here in Richmond without a license. And so it just had to be parked somewhere. And so that car was like, okay, well, you have a car, you need to get a license. Mm-hmm. Now, because
you've got a car. You're like halfway there.
Yeah, you have to. You have to get this thing. And so I'm having to move it from parking spot to parking spot so it won't get towed and stuff like that. But since I don't have my license, I always have to have someone else in the car with me. Yeah. Even though it's just I'm gonna move it.
Seems like you probably know how to drive.
Yeah, I've known how to drive, but so I finally find a street that has free parking 24/7, 365. So I'm just like, yes, I can fucking just leave it here. And that is what I did. I left it there. And then for the longest time, I just didn't think about it. And then I one day was finally like, you know what? I should check on this car.
Bad feeling.
And I go there and it's not there. And I'm like, what the hell? What happened? So I'm trying to figure out what happened. And eventually I get a thing in the mail, and it's a bill from a towing thing. And apparently they had been mailing the bill to our old house in Northern Virginia, but my parents no longer lived there. Yeah, they didn't know how to get this thing to me, and I think eventually they figured it out, and which is why I got the thing. But it was $900 to get this thing out because it had been in there for 2 months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so I was just like, shit, this is the worst. So I had to pay $900 to get this thing out of the like the impound lot, and that was one of the things that kind of sunk me. And I think it was like 6 months after that I ran out of money.
Oh no, you sound like a bee.
Well, I ran out of money and was just like, well, shit, I kind of need to move back in with my parents, and they're out in Texas, and I am not moving a car that I can't even drive across the country. So I had to junk it. I had I tried to sell it. No one bought it. I was like, fuck, this is terrible. This is the worst. And so I got like, I think $300 off of it. It was terrible.
That's the worst. So sad.
It was terrible. Enough of that.
Yeah.
Oh well. That was the worst.
Yeah. A lot of people that I know don't drive because they live in Seattle and it's just too expensive to pay for parking, and so they've never learned. Which is also like,
yeah, when I was out there, my ex lives like 2 hours north of Seattle, and when I went out there, we went down into the city and it was a nightmare. And she was like, I hate parallel parking, I can't do it.
Oh yeah, I'm so bad at parallel parking. In Washington, you have to score an 80 on your driving test out of 100 to pass, and I scored an 82. Turns out that's actually really, really average. Now when I see scores that are in the 90s, I'm like, wow, you're a really good driver. But for various reasons, most people, myself included, score like an 82. Part of it is that I failed the parallel parking part immediately. I knew I've never been very good at it. I can do it if there's an open spot in front of the spot or behind the spot that I want, so that I have like lots and lots of space.
When you have that space to like pull all the way up and then pull all the way back.
But if there's just one space, it's not happening. And so I went to take my test. I'm from Olympia, and so I could either go to Lacey, which was 15 minutes away, but kind of busy, or we could go all the way to Shelton, which was about half an hour, and actually where one of my grandparents lives. And it'd be way less busy because Shelton's like this really tiny town. And so we went all the way to Shelton, and I was a super nervous driver until I actually got my license. I got my permit at 15 because if you're in driver's ed, you can get it at 15. I had it until I didn't get my license until like 2 weeks before I turned 17 because my parents were like, you're just not ready. And so we go all the way out there, and she's like, okay, here's the cones, pretend there's a car on either side, parallel park. And I start kind of moving, I'm backing in, and I'm doing okay, but I'm like, I don't think I can do this. Am I going to lose points if I pull back out of the spot and just start over? And she's like, no, go ahead. And pulling out of the spot to start over, I went over the like lip of the cone, which is an automatic failure on the parallel parking part. And I was just like,
Boo!
ah! So, but at the same time, I didn't have to parallel park. I was also really mad, and I'm sure that I could get this explained to me by the people that I work with, but you drive through a neighborhood, and so we were driving through a neighborhood, and there was a 4-way intersection. I didn't have a stop sign, but I couldn't see a stop sign on either of the cross streets, so I stopped and looked for cars, and then I kept going, and I got dinged points for stopping when there was no stop sign. And I was like, but I was at an intersection. I was being safe. Like, I would still... now...
I saved your life, dude!
Now, I'm more like, if I don't see a stop sign anywhere, I kind of slow down and look. I don't necessarily stop all the way, but it's like, why would you ding me points for being cautious? But, yeah.
I guess it's technically one of those things. Yeah, if you're supposed to keep going, if there's a car behind you,
But also, we were going like 25, and I slowed to a stop. They would have stopped.
It's whatever. Driving is weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am like almost 28, and I still don't have a license. So
you don't need one.
Whatever. Yeah, nowadays they like... there's Uber, there's Lyft, there's all the. Have you seen those like motorized like scooters
No,
things? You guys have
but I
those?
saw on the news yesterday, we were at a brewery with Cody's family and they had the news on, which is like super lame for a brewery. But they had the news on, and in
Yeah.
Tacoma, where I used to live, that's only like 15 minutes from me, they have the electric scooters now. In Seattle, they've got all the bikes. Um,
We have
but now they have the
those
scooters, and I
too.
want to try the
The
scooters
bike
so
share
bad.
thing. Yeah, it's like $1 or something to unlock it, and then however
Hmm.
many cents per mile or per
Whatever the
minute.
method is. Yeah.
Yeah, but that just started popping up. So like, if I really wanted to, I could get around.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and
but I I walk. Like, everything for me is in walking distance. So
if I lived in a city where everything was within walking distance, I would walk and I would take the bus. But it's 11 minutes to my work
mhm.
from my house in my car. The greatest thing is when I was working in Seattle, I was getting gas about every 4 days. So, that's only like once a week, but it's too often. And then I started this job, and I think I get gas every 2 weeks, but I don't actually remember because I go like 5 miles a day. So long goes between getting gas that I'm just like, did I get gas about 2 weeks ago? Is it time to get gas? I guess it's time to get gas. It's pretty great.
It's nice not having to pay
Oh
for
my
that.
gosh, yeah, I can't imagine.
Like, I don't have to pay like any car insurance,
Which
all
is
of that
so
stuff. I don't have to
expensive
buy
here.
gas. So I don't have to pay for parking and stuff like that. So I'm super thankful that I don't have to do all of
Yeah.
that, because I would be even more broke than I already am.
I just switched
It's not
insurance,
fun.
and in Washington, it's really expensive. I was paying for a 2001 Outback, which is like a good car, but nothing to write home about. I was paying like
Yeah.
$140 a month. And my boyfriend, who drives a 2015 Subaru BRZ, which is a snazzy little two-door sports car, was paying like 100. And I was like, what the hell? And so then it was like, I need to get something else. Which is funny
Yeah.
because before I got my Outback, I was driving a Blazer from 97. So when it died, the engine exploded and it had 250,000 miles on it. It didn't like explode in fire. It ran out of oil and I didn't know it because my oil gauge didn't work.
That you need to tell people it
Yeah, be
exploded in
like just
fire.
driving home. Like I was driving home from my job at the comic shop, and everything went kathunk, and all my lights went out. I just like pulled
Oh
over on the
man.
freeway as fast as I could, because I drive in the left lane. I go fast, so I had to get way over. It's like 1 in the
Way
morning.
over,
I
yeah.
had to call my boyfriend who's dead asleep and be like, I don't know if I will be home tonight because I'm gonna call my parents who live 20 minutes away, and they were awake because my parents are hooligans. And even though my uncle works at 5 in the morning, he stays up till like midnight. So my aunt and my grandma
Crazy.
came and rescued me, and we got a tow truck to bring the Blazer back to my parents' house, and then they brought me back home the next morning. But that I was paying my first insurance company under my parents, they were paying like 140 for it, whereas my boyfriend who had a different insurance company for his BRZ was paying like 130. And I was like, no, 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 no. There is no way I'm paying more than he is paying for a sports car. So I switched to the company that he had because I looked at it and I was like, this is a good deal. And it was when I was a student in school. And then I stopped being a student, so I stopped getting the good student discount. And then it went back up, and
And
he
it
switched
went
insurance
back
when he
up.
bought a house so he could do like the bundle thing. And then I was paying more, and I was like, what is this? So but it's still so expensive. Insurance is ridiculous and I hate it.
I don't I don't understand being an adult.
It doesn't
Like,
make any sense.
nothing
It
makes
doesn't.
sense. Insurance doesn't make sense. Banks don't make sense. Credit cards don't
Right?
make sense. That are just what? Why? Who thought this
How
was
does
a good
any of this
idea?
work and why do I have to do it? The other thing that I get really frustrated about and then I'm in like not less than 6 months going to be mad about again, car tabs in the county that I live in, which is the same county as Seattle. I don't live in Seattle, but I'm in the same county, are ridiculously expensive. Um, last year when I was living in
Terrible.
Pierce County, which is a different county, they
Hmm.
were like $150 to get my tabs renewed, which is like you
Yikes.
you make sure your registration's up to date and you get stickers for your license plate. It was like $135. Yeah. It
$150
was
stickers.
ridiculous because in Olympia, where I used to live, where I grew up, it was like 100 a year and it was like, okay, that's a little tough, but I can do it. And then like 150 and I was like, okay, this is getting kind of ridiculous and I don't even want to know what I'm going to pay in March when I have to renew my tabs. I don't want to know, but I'm probably going to cry. Because
Yeah.
my car's not
It's
even that
terrible.
nice. See, I get it when it's nicer cars, but it's a 2001 Outback. Part of the bumper, I've got this weird plastic thing over the front bumper, and like part of that is melted, and it's a little roughed up. It still works just fine, but it's a little roughed up, and it's at almost 200,000 miles, and I'm gonna have to pay like $200 to put stickers on it. Very upset.
Yeah. Being an adult sucks. Welcome to adulthood. You're 23
Yeah,
now.
it's the worst. It's not the worst because literally nothing has changed, which is the other thing. This is the first birthday in a while where I think I like woke up and I was like, cool, I guess I'm 23 now. Whereas when I was 22, I was like, yeah, like I'm in my 20s. I'm not 21. Because when you're 21 and an adult and you hang out with adults older than 21, you are the baby because you're just now
Yeah.
able to drink. So I was like, yes, like not 21. I'm going to get a little more respect. And now I'm just like, well, I don't know. And 21 was exciting because it's 21. And I thought 20 was exciting because it's like I'm almost there. And 19 was
Yeah.
like, eh. But
19 is just no one likes that
yeah.
age. There's nothing special about that
It was 19
age.
was like I'm in college, whatever. Big
Yeah.
whoop.
That's it. Oh well. Well, what else have you been up to? Because we mentioned the job stuff, but it's been a couple weeks since you've been on the show. What's been happening in the life of Jess
Yeah, so
Beaver?
I've been keeping busy on the weekends, which is great. This is the first weekend where it was actually kind of chill, and it was sort of a forced chillness because I think I mentioned before we started recording, I've been sick all week. I don't normally sound like a gremlin, which is what I feel like I sound like now.
You don't sound
That's
that
good.
bad.
In my head, I sound terrible. But I've been sick all week, and so yesterday I was gonna go hang out with Eric Mannix and his daughter, um, but I was still sick, and she's 4, and she's sick, so I was like, I am not going to go make her more sick. Um,
Yeah, which I guess I didn't mention that at the top of the show. We didn't have an episode last week. Uh, Eric Mannix is on father duties right now. One of his kids is, or has been very, very sick. So he is helping out
she's
with
gonna be
that.
okay. It's just a long
It's a
process.
yeah. It was
Her appendix
appendicitis. Is that right?
burst, actually, and then she got an
Appendix burst,
infection.
and at such a young age too.
She
That is
is a
scary.
brave little kid. Eric Mannix and his family are some of my favorite people in the whole world. And this is rare that we're not gonna, like, I'm genuinely not talking shit about Eric, which is usually what I do, because we've been friends.
That's okay. We can
Yeah.
edit this whole section. This whole section out.
Nobody must know. But Eric and I have been friends since I was 18. So we've been friends for like 5 years now. I was friends with him
Uh-huh.
before this daughter, Emma, who is 4, was born. I remember her being born. She was like
Yeah.
13 pounds. His wife Tessa is amazing for that, by the way. And she was just like all cheeks and super cute. And his other daughter, Kate, they're both adorable kids. And him and his wife are really wonderful. And Emma's a really tough little kid who I love. And I love their whole
Yeah.
family. They're all really great.
'Cause I remember I had a friend of mine that had his appendix burst, but he was like 15 or 16, so like it was a little bit more manageable for him, but even still, like it was a scary thing to see him like in that much pain,
Well,
right? And just be like, what
and
the
what's
hell, and to have her, she's so
yeah,
small,
she's so small.
she's so
She's so
young.
small and so tough. Well,
Yeah.
and then what I think is kind of not like funny is that I guess I feel like it feels weird to talk about Eric's kids without Eric here. But Kate, his other daughter, broke her arm I think her arm. She broke a bone when she was younger before I'd met them.
Uh-huh.
And so it's just like, can neither of their kids make it out of childhood unscathed? But I guess that's being a kid, because like one of my cousins, he
Kind
broke
of.
his arm at like 2 jumping on the couch. My parents were like, Isaac, don't jump on the couch. And then he did, and he broke his arm. 'Cause kids are fragile, but they're
It's like,
also
screw you, I'm gonna jump on the
stubborn.
couch anyways.
Yeah.
Have you ever broken a
No,
bone?
but I have cracked my head open. Yeah, when
Interesting.
I was, and this is a really
Did
stupid story, but also why I have like a lot of feelings about those stupid bikes that you see all over the city. Because in Washington State, it's required that you wear a helmet when you're riding a bike, and the bikes that you can
mhm.
rent don't come with helmets. But when I was 16, I had long hair back then, and I would not ride a bike with a helmet. I didn't like it. I like to like feel the wind through my hair and like have my earphones in and stuff. And so which was stupid, and my parents would be like, wear your helmet, and I'd be like, okay, and then like I just wouldn't put it on when I left outside, because they didn't, I was 16, they didn't
Yeah.
feel the need to watch me ride away on my bike. And so I was on
Yeah.
my bike, like listening to music without my helmet. I got about a block from my house. I could still see my house, turned a very smooth corner, and I didn't realize this until like weeks later, but the cuff of my pant leg got caught on the water bottle holder that was attached to my bike, and I just went down,
Mhm.
and I apparently
Yikes.
I blacked out and had a seizure while I was out, I guess, because I cracked my head open.
Oh
I have a
no.
dent in the back of my head. Um, and luckily, like, there was this little kid walking by in my neighborhood who saw it and like ran home and was like, "Mom!" And so like I was rushed to the hospital, and I got staples in my head, but I turned out okay. I was really bitchy when it happened, and the doctors, as politely as they could, told my parents. They were like, "So while she heals, she's gonna be a little grumpy. She's gonna be a little different because of the part of my head that I hit." And looking back, I'm like, wow, I was terrible during that time, but also like you can't really blame me. But yeah, so I've had staples in my head, and I still have a dent. And it was when I was like 16, and I just get so mad about it because it's completely my fault. I was like a block from my freaking house. I should have known better. So now I always wear a helmet, and I tell other people, I will tell kids if they don't want to wear a helmet, I'll be like, "Do you want to
Wear
feel the
a
dent in the
helmet.
back of my head? Because I'll let you." Like there's a part of my head that's flat. It was genuinely like
Yeah.
dented when I first got it, but now it's just like flat. So,
Yeah. So I've had stitches in the back of my head, and I've broken my finger
ooh.
once, but that was like last year. And that's the only bone that I've broken, and technically I broke it petting a dog. So 13 out of 10 would pet again. Did you see on Twitter like a couple months ago the thing going around that was like, what is the most ridiculous injury? You're like the most ridiculous way you've hurt
Oh, I think I do. Yeah.
yourself. That is your personal brand. Yeah, I was like, I broke my finger petting a dog. 13 out of 10 would
But
pet
also,
again.
like, can you explain what? Can you go a little more in depth
So
there?
I wasn't exactly petting a dog. My roommate was fostering this young like I don't think it was a pit bull, some kind of
Hmm.
puppy, and I had to let someone in the house. That was coming in through the back door. I don't remember exactly what was happening there, but the puppy, of course, followed me because it
Because it's a
wanted to be
puppy.
where the action was. Yeah, it's like, what's going on? I should go see. And I opened the door, and he tried to like run out the door. So I was like, nope, and I grabbed its collar, and I guess when I grabbed its collar, it like pulled like it's the like the top knuckle on
Hmm.
my like ring finger here, and it like caught it and
Ooh.
pulled it, and I didn't feel it at all. And it was just like a normal thing, and then like an hour or two afterwards, I'm in bed, and it's just like my finger really hurts. What the fuck? Like, what is happening? And yeah, I was like, okay, well, maybe I like sprained it or something. And then that next day at work, it was like in throbbing pain. I was like, okay, I need to go see. Like, I can barely even move that finger now. So I was like, I need to go to the doctors. And like, yep, you broke
Still,
it.
break your finger interacting with a dog, because that's a very normal interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a puppy, like not even like a
not
strong
a big dog.
dog, not at all. It was like maybe 15 pounds, like this big, you know. It was
Yeah.
pretty small.
I mean, with my cat, like, I believe it though, because I've had to stop my cat from running outside and almost hurt myself before. Just, my cat's also really large, and I forget this on a regular basis, but lately we've had this neighbor cat who comes into our backyard and just like struts around like it fucking owns our backyard. And Sokka, my cat, gets so mad and he just sits at the glass door watching because he's not allowed outside without us, except for on his catio, which is in the front yard. We have built an enclosure. It's out of 2x4s and chicken wire, so he can't escape, but he can still be outside, which is where he is right now. But he's like watching, he's like up against the glass door watching this cat, like right here. And the other cat is like this close on the other side, and it was clearly older. It had a little bit of gray around like its muzzle, and it's got a collar, so it belongs to somebody, which was surprising to me because most people don't put collars on their cats.
Right.
And it was like half the size of Sokka. I was like, oh my god, this cat is older than my cat, and like half of his size. My cat could eat him.
That's funny.
Yeah, my cat's just really huge. So I've gotten hurt by my cat before, just in like, one, he's a bastard and he will bite and scratch, but also because he's just large. He hears me talking about him and he's coming inside now. Maybe I can nab him and show everybody how cute he is. He's super cute.
Come be on the podcast.
This is my cat.
Hello,
This
Sokka.
is Sokka. Oh, ow, that's my neck. He's biting it. See? See?
And
See, there he
that
goes.
is how Jess dies, being attacked
On the
by her
podcast.
cat.
Okay, bye. Don't come back.
Didn't even make it to
Now
28.
he's coming back for me. Because that's the thing, is not only will he attack you, but he will seek revenge. Which is
He was like, how dare you burn me inside,
he is
woman?
a grudge-holding bastard. You came, ow! He went for my leg. You came inside yourself. I just picked you up. But yeah, that's my cat. He's the worst, and I love him so much.
There you go. There you go. Let's see. What else can we mention and talk about? New York City Comic-Con just happened. Belinda was over there. I haven't got a chance to talk to her yet. I'm hoping to get her on the show again soon so we can be like, what did you do? What did you see?
It.
Yeah. DC Universe.
Oh, yeah.
Titans just came out. What do you think about that? I'm assuming you haven't seen it.
I haven't.
But I could be wrong.
Because it's on as according to my roommate, who is the authority on nerdy things, when it comes to like movies and TV shows, it is on DC's streaming service, which I have not bought because I have not watched.
DC
yeah,
Universe.
I have not watched a DC show, except for like the old Teen Titans. But I was talking to my roommate and I told him, you know, if he gets a free if it has a free trial and he gets it, like, let me know and I'll watch it with him.
Yeah.
But
did you by chance go see Teen Titans Go to the movies?
No, because I watched Teen Titans Go and I hated it and I'm very upset at what they did to my precious baby Robin. I'm
not a huge fan of that show either. I think it works really, really well for the audience that they're going for with that show. But I went and I saw Teen Titans Go to the movies in theaters when it came out because I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go have fun and watch this cartoon superhero movie. And it was fantastic.
Really?
It was so good. But a little bit of spoilers. There's maybe a hint at the old Teen Titans coming back in that film.
They had better. Oh my god, I loved that. I'm sorry that
I
was so
hope
loud.
they do. I mean, because there is a third season of Young Justice coming, which will also be on the DC streaming service, which I'm super excited for. I think in like a year or two, I could see myself getting the DC streaming service once it has more content on it, you know? But it's just like right now, it's just like,
I
we'll wait
grew
and
up
see.
watching Teen Titans, and like Robin was my imaginary childhood friend until I was 7.
There you go.
And Nightwing is my favorite superhero. I have a Nightwing. I have a figure right here on my desk.
Is it Disco Nightwing? Is it
No, it's Nightwing with the good butt.
Nightwing with the good
That's what I
butt?
like.
Becky with the good hair, Nightwing with the good butt.
Yeah. But I pre-ordered this back when I worked at the comic shop. One of my coworkers was like, "Jess, they're making this. We don't know how much it is or anything about it." And I was like, "Put me down for one."
Like, I'll take it.
So I definitely want to watch the new show, but again, like if they have a free trial, then I'll try it. But yeah, I'm not gonna pay for it right now.
They might have like a 7-day free trial.
And
thing.
I can binge like nobody's business. So
I'm not sure. Me too. I can binge all the stuff. Cool. Yeah, I've actually heard decent things about this Titans show. I've heard it's still a lot darker than people want it to be because, you know, there was that whole fuck Batman thing. But I've heard the performances were actually very good, and I've heard the effects were good
all of
too.
DC
So
stuff is darker than people want it to be.
Well, yeah, a lot of it is. But have you seen the trailer for the Harley Quinn cartoon, which is also going to be coming on their DC?
I haven't
thing?
seen that either. I've been terrible and I haven't kept up with anything.
I should send you a link because they released like a teaser trailer for this thing, and I'm actually really interested in that show just based off of that teaser. It's Harley and Ivy in a jail cell, and they're talking, and it's really funny. Like the comedy is like Deadpool type of like ridiculous fourth wall breaking comedy. Where she actually makes a reference to Deadpool and stuff like that, and calls him by name. And stuff like that. But what I didn't know I needed until now is the portrayal of Ivy that they had in this thing. I saw it and I was like, oh my god, that's perfect. Did you ever watch the show Daria?
No, I did not.
Do you at least know what it is? Like if I were like a Daria type character, that was Ivy. She just like couldn't care less and goes like, "Oh my god, you're so annoying." You know, just like just absolutely did not want to be there. Hated life. The most like sarcastic, cynical. Like I was like, yes, that is amazing, and it worked so well.
My one question though, are
yes.
they gonna make it gay? Because if the trailer is the two of them in a jail cell, how can you not?
I mean, that's what they do in jail, right? But
not what I was going for. I was saying more because of like their past history of the gayness. But sorry, I talk like a weirdo. But
the gayness.
I don't know why I said it that way.
No, I know what
specifically
you mean.
For each other. I feel like if you have a trailer where it's the two of them in a room together, whatever kind of room it may be, you can't not make it gay.
They were at least, it seemed like they were at least going to be really, really good friends. Even though they're complete opposite, like the way their personality worked. It looked like they were going to be complete opposites. But who knows? That one's not out for a while, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But it looked good, and I'm interested in that. More DC stuff. So have you not watched any of the like CW stuff?
Nope.
No. I'm catching up on all of the most recent seasons that's on Netflix, on all of the shows. They're really good. Those shows are so good. They've had their ups and downs, and sure, some of the seasons are absolute garbage. But I've been really impressed with a lot of the stuff that they're doing. They just had, because now it's incredible, right? Because they have the like 4 shows that all cross over, and then they have Black Lightning, which I actually didn't like Black Lightning, but the 4 that kind of cross over is Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl. Okay. And they're all fantastic shows, but each year now they've been doing like a crossover event, just like the comics, where like all of their episode 9s are like one big storyline where you have to watch every like show. Like part 1 is the Flash episode, and part 2 is Supergirl, and then part 3 is Legends of Tomorrow, and part 4 is Arrow. But yeah, they'll do big, just these big storylines where it's basically the Justice League, like all coming together and stuff like that, and it's fantastic. And they just did one. The one they did last year was Crisis on Earth X. And yeah, they know about the multiverse and stuff like that. They said there was 52 worlds out there, which is kind of in line with the comics and DC's weird obsession with the number 52. But then they were like, but there's actually a 53rd world out there. It's just so bad that we didn't want to tell you guys about it. And that's the one where the Nazis won World War II and took over and stuff like that. So all of like the superhero counterparts are all like Nazis and stuff like that. Yeah. And so they do this big whole thing where the Supergirl of Earth X is what it's called, and it doesn't even have a number designation. She's dying from like too much like solar radiation or something like that, so they have to come to the Earth that Supergirl is on to like take her heart and like kill her. And like if we put her heart in this one, it's strange, but it is just like, this is the Justice League. There's Supergirl. There's the Flash. There's Martian Manhunter. There's all of these characters. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think my problem is that I tried to watch those shows when they first came out, and one, I was in college, and it's very hard to keep up with anything when you're in college, and two, I don't think they were as good, and it's also hard for me to get into the super dark gritty shows, and that's kind of the CW's general style.
Well, it is with Arrow. Like, that one is
was that the
like
first one
Batman
that came out?
Type show.
Because, see, I think I tried to watch that one,
that
and I was
the
just
first
like,
one.
no. And then when the new stuff came out, I was like, I don't have the time, and I didn't like the other one. So, but.
Because, each show is very, very different from one another. Like, Arrow is the dark, gritty, Batman-like show. It is crime-focused. Because Arrow doesn't really have superpowers, so it's more like he's taking down crime lords and stuff like that, and there will be people that come along with superpowers and stuff like that from time to time, but yeah, like they deal with like the League of Assassins and stuff like that. It's really neat, but then Flash came along, and that one is the lighthearted crime superhero show. They do, and it is also more of a comedy as well too. But yeah, so they deal a lot more with like superpowers and stuff like that. And then there's Supergirl, which is also more super power focused, but it's also deals with like aliens and stuff like that. Here are the Daxamites. Here's the Kryptonians from the Phantom Zone and stuff like that. So it is more, and it is also more of like a. I don't want to say romance, but since it is a more like female centric show, like there is that like romantic aspect to it, right? And it's good. And then Legends of Tomorrow, which I think a lot of people write off as like, oh, this is where all the ones who aren't interesting enough to have their own show, we'll just stick them all in this show. That show is actually probably their best one because it is the most ridiculous. Imagine Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Who mashed up into one show, and that's what Legends of Tomorrow is. It's time travel. It is, but instead of like the Doctor, like one character, it is a team of heroes, but they're all super dysfunctional and funny and stuff like that. So it's like, what if the Guardians of the Galaxy team was Doctor Who?
See, that sounds neat.
And that's what that show is. Yeah, it's fantastic. They save Albert Einstein. There's one where they have to go save George Lucas and stuff like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah.
Cody and I are also just always really behind the times. We just started watching The Good Place, which I feel like people have been into since day one, and like we just started watching like last week.
I've only just started hearing about that show like this past week. I have no idea what it is.
Well, okay, so I think a new season came out. I don't know, because we're still on season 1, I think.
That might
but
be why.
So funny. It is great.
What is it exactly?
So I'll tell the premise of sort of like the first part of the first season, because everything changes where we are, and then that would give away the whole thing. But there's this lady played by I think her name is Kristen Bell. I think it's her. She's blonde. She's an actress, obviously. And you have the good place and the bad place instead of heaven and hell. And she goes to the good place, and they're all like, welcome, like you did, here's how you died. It checks out. It's a really like stupid way. They're like, you did all this awesome work as like a lawyer and fighting for environmentalism and stuff. And she doesn't say anything, but she's like, that's not me. They have her mixed up with a different person of the same name. And she doesn't say anything, and everybody gets matched with soulmates. And so she meets her soulmate, and she immediately is like, I do not belong here. I am not this person. And then her soulmate was an ethics professor. And so he's like going over whether or not he should help her. And so he decides
it's the right thing, whether or not it's ethical to help her.
And so he finally decides to like help her learn how to be a good person so that she can stay. But it's like she was this kind of terrible person. But my favorite thing is that there's a point where they find out that she is not who she says she is, and they like give her this test because he's like, oh well, if my system didn't work, then I have to give you a test. And it was like, have you ever committed a major crime? Have you ever had vanity license plates? And there's one where it's like, have you ever attended a concert or bought the music of the funk rock band, the Red Hot Chili Peppers? And I lost it at that point because Cody loves the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I hate them, so I just like looked over at him and I was like, babe. But
Busted.
I never bought vanity plates.
That's funny.
Yeah, so it's really funny because she's this person who doesn't belong there. She like she drinks a lot and is not like a truly evil person, but she's not
So
like a good
it's
person.
so is it kind of I guess the opposite of this show is like Breaking Bad, where you see this good person eventually just dig themselves deeper and deeper
Yeah.
and deeper into this hole where they become this evil son of a bitch. But it's the opposite of that, where it's like she was a terrible person and now she's trying to like redeem herself and like, here's why you should let me stay here in the good place.
Yes, because there's no medium
Okay.
place. There's just the good place and there's the bad place. And the bad, like,
Gotcha.
at one point the like representatives from the bad place show up, and the main demon is played by the guy who played Ben Wyatt. I think his real name is Adam Scott, but it's great because I loved the character of Ben Wyatt, and so to just see him be like an asshole was amazing. And I think my favorite character is actually there's this like she's not a robot, but there's this character called Janet, and she's like, you go, hey Janet, and she just shows up and she can answer any question and get you anything, and like, she's really hilarious because there's one where this, like, people keep forgetting that she's not a person, and there's this one guy that's like, oh, I love you, girl, and she's like, I'm not a girl. Just very, very matter of fact, very nicely. She's like, not upset. I'm not a girl. She's like, and I'm not a robot. She's like, I
am not
am
a
the
girl.
mainframe, like that kind of thing. And she's like my favorite. It's
That's
really
awesome.
funny.
Yeah, I binge watch a lot of shows and like dip my toes into a whole bunch of different stuff, but it seems to me like a lot of the just like mainstream network television shows just are completely off of my radar. I think both of my roommates are into what is it called? I think it's Jane the Virgin.
Yeah, that's a show. That's a show. I haven't seen it, but that's a show.
Yes, that is a show that exists, and yeah, like they both
People
love
go
that
nuts for it.
show, and I'm just like, I didn't even know the show existed. Like, it's just not on my radar at all.
We don't have cable, so
Yeah, well, we did, but I think they were watching it on Hulu or something, because we have that. We have Hulu and Netflix and stuff like that. Yeah, because like for a while there, I was it's amazing to me how much TV is out there being made that is not like made in America or in English, right? And all like it's any type of media, whether it's TV, movies, music, all that stuff. If it's not like American top 40, most people don't know about
absolutely.
it. And so I'm always like, there has to be some like good stuff out there. Like why aren't we hearing about that stuff? So for a while, I was like, I'm just gonna watch a bunch of foreign shows on Netflix, and I found some amazing stuff. I was like, this is so good. Like, why do people not know about this?
My current favorite show is not American. I don't know that it's necessarily foreign. It's Canadian, and I think I've talked about it before, but it's called Letterkenny, and it is the funniest shit out there.
I think you did mention it when you were
I
on.
love it.
A couple weeks ago.
There's only 2 seasons on Hulu, and we just like keep rewatching them. And Cody and I are gonna be 2 of the main characters
That's
for
awesome.
Halloween, and it's really good. And I think everybody should watch it because it's super funny.
That's fantastic.
It's so good.
Yeah. I mean, it baffles my mind. Like, what else is out
There's
there?
a ridiculous
Stuff is
amount
so
of good media out there, which is what makes it kind of hard because I only have so much time in the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. So much time. Speaking of that, this whole weekend I've kind of screwed up my sleeping schedule, which I tend to do fairly easily anyways. But I right now I am just like royally screwed, which is why I have my energy.
I saw
drink
that
here,
and I
'cause
was
I'm
like, it's only
hoping-
like 3 o'clock your time. 4 o'clock now, maybe?
Yeah, so couple like I swear I'm nocturnal because I remember one summer I came home. I think this was my freshman year of college. I came home for the summer, and I basically reversed my sleeping schedule so that I was like up all night and I slept all day. And it worked out perfectly because my parents would like get home from work at like 5 or 6 in the evening, and that's when I woke up. And then they would be here and I would hang out with them and stuff like that. And then I would, they would go to bed and I would be up all night doing my thing, and I would go to sleep like when they left for work.
Just be like, bye.
So it worked out perfectly. But yeah, so I it's not as bad as that is right now, but it was like I was up till like 4 in the morning the past 2 nights. And so this morning I was like, all right, I'm going to get myself an energy drink, and I'm hoping that is just going to make me crash at like at least midnight, and then hopefully I can be fine for work tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I used to be that way, and I think it was just like came down to the job that I had, because when I worked at the comic shop with Eric, I worked 6 to midnight, and then I was in school. So like I'd go home or back to my dorm and I'd do homework, or I'd talk to my friends, because in college people are just up all the time. And then I moved to Tacoma, so I wasn't even getting home until 1 or 1:30, depending on how long it had taken us to close. And so for a long time, that was just my schedule. And so when I got my first like day job in Seattle, it was real rough. And then I got used to it, and then I got laid off from it. And now I have a job where 4 days a week I start at 12:30 in the afternoon and I go till 8:30, and then the last day I start at 10. And that last day where I start at 10, I still wake up at the same time, but I don't get to like lay in bed forever or like get stuff done. That last day is so rough. And I don't even stay up that late. I go to sleep at like 11, maybe midnight. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. I never thought it would happen. I've never been a morning person, and I'm definitely not now.
I'm definitely not
absolutely
a
not
person at all.
And
I hate it.
Cody is though, and it's the worst. But like I never thought that I'd get even close to being somebody who could function in the mornings, and then I was, and now I can't turn it off. Because even when I stay up late, I wake up at like 8. And I'm just like, this is the worst. Yeah, Cody's a total morning person, and it is the worst because this is not the worst, but Cody's also super affectionate. So like yesterday, he woke up at 6. It was a Saturday. He woke up at 6 and he was like, wide awake.
Jess, I'm starting to lose you a little bit
dear.
Here. You're starting to cut in and out.
How about now?
I can see you right now, but it's saying poor network connection.
I had that a minute ago, but it went away.
So yeah, maybe your roommates just got home and they're starting their D&D thing.
Know.
Who knows?
Can you hear me better now?
But yeah, and it doesn't help. Yeah, I can hear you fine now. It also doesn't help because I recently bought blackout curtains. So now basically it doesn't matter the time of day. It's always dark in my room. And yeah, so so if I like end up staying up till 4 in the morning reading comics or doing whatever the hell I'm doing, then I can sleep till like 2 or 3 in the afternoon the next day.
Yeah, it's super easy.
Like if I did not get myself out of bed to go to the grocery store this morning, I probably would have slept until like an hour or so before you and I got on the podcast, which was like 4 in the afternoon for me, so it would have been 3 in the afternoon.
Oh, see, yeah, I forgot that, and I was like, okay, so waking up at noon, like that's late, but it's not outrageous for staying up that late. But
it's 5:20 in the afternoon for me.
Oh my gosh!
Now, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. And you've been awake since like a normal time this morning?
No, I woke up maybe like 1:32 ish. So I slept in.
Oh, okay. You said you dragged yourself to the grocery store in the morning, so I was like, oh, you must mean before noon.
I'm not a morning person.
You did say so.
No, I mean, like, I woke up and the only things I have to do today is this podcast, finish up listening to King Falls AM, which is what we are covering for the review show, which I think we're recording like tomorrow night or something. I have to confirm with that. And then go to the grocery store. And I was like, if I don't get myself up now, I'm going to sleep until like 3 in the afternoon, and it's going to be real hard for me to get myself out of bed even then.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to get myself up now, and I did. And I was like, okay, well, I don't really have anything to do. Don't really want to listen to King Falls AM right now. I'm just going to make myself go to the grocery store and just get that just done with, which is nice, because then now I don't have to like go out.
Yeah,
So,
I don't have a whole lot going on.
good.
I decided that I'm going to make kind of a fancy dinner tonight. So I do still have to go to the grocery store.
What
So
you
I'm going to
making?
make, and this sounds fancy to me, but it may not be fancy to other people. For our housewarming, I got cast iron skillets for multiple people, so we have like 5 now. So I am going.
We have one, and that thing is like 20
Oh
fucking
yeah, I
pounds.
have to
It
lift it with
is.
2 hands, all of them.
Yeah.
Somebody actually got us a set that like came with a Dutch oven, which I'm really excited about because Cody's dad loves
Oh,
to take
nice.
his camping, and so now we can learn all his secrets. But I'm gonna make scallop potatoes and then scallops.
Ooh.
Because I was like, oh, I want to make a potato dish because potatoes are my favorite food in the world, and then I recently discovered that I like scallops, and it turns out in a cast iron skillet they are super easy to make. Um, so, cause I
There
get
you
home
go.
from work at like 8:30 most nights, and so even though I'm part of the meal planning, if I do enjoy cooking, and I just don't get to make dinner all that often, and so I'm
Yeah,
excited to make some food.
that makes sense.
That's more work.
I enjoy cooking. I don't do it very
Mhm.
often. And it's also one of those things like after I come home from work, I maybe have to do some podcast editing, or I need to go to the grocery store. I need to do, whatever chore or errand that I need to do
Mhm.
that day. So I get that done, and then I'm exhausted. Like I don't want to sit here and cook for half an
Mhm.
hour.
What his
So it's just like
Yeah.
I'm gonna find something else to eat that is instant.
Yeah, what really helped me and Cody and our roommate get out of that is like we started since like we all pitched in on groceries, we've started actually meal planning and then going once a week and then you have everything and then we just all take turns cooking. So like I'll cook on the weekends and stuff. Um and that's helped a lot because
That's
then
cool.
like everything is there and if you don't use it, it's going to go bad. So just like buck up and make the food, you know? Um
Yeah.
but actually, having my birthday party was a lot of fun. It was Harry Potter themed, and we made a bunch of food for
Nice.
it. And because what I really like is to make new stuff. Um,
Sorry to interrupt. Did you see the leaked Harry Potter video
I
game
did. I
footage?
did.
What do
I
you
don't
think?
know what to think. I think it's interesting, but
It
also we were supposed to have a Harry Potter Go already, and so I'm just kind of like, just because something linked doesn't mean it's coming out in this decade.
Yeah, no, I mean that game is still a ways away, but now it's like, yeah, it actually is a thing now.
hmm
We know that this is in
I
development
will play
somewhere.
any and all
So,
Harry Potter games. Um, But yeah, I had a Harry Potter party because I'm a huge nerd and I really like to make new stuff. So we made like a shepherd's pie tater tot casserole, which was really good. And then
okay.
we made tacos, which is not a new thing, but you can make the meat in the crock pot and it's really good to feed a bunch of people. But we also made
Hell yeah.
pumpkin pasties, which are delicious. There were lots and lots of
Nice.
inappropriate jokes made, myself included. 'Cause like how can you not?
Pumpkin
I know, like
pasties.
I know what it is, and I know that over there. Yeah, I literally like took 2 and held them up to my chest, but they're super good. Um, and like relatively easy to make because you just make the filling and then you take like
Huh.
pie dough
Okay.
and you make it in little circles and you fold it over, and they were delicious. Um, and then we made little like phyllo dough cheese cups with a little bit of pear and honey, and those went real fast.
There you
But
go.
that was fun because I spent like the afternoon cooking food, and I do kind of enjoy that sometimes, especially when it's stuff I haven't made
Yeah.
before because I want to be able to make. I am lazy, but I want to be able to make fancy stuff.
Yeah. That's like I've slowly but surely kind of perfected a homemade General Tso's
Ooh.
like recipe, and even then I'm still using like a store bought sauce.
Mhm.
So I could technically learn to make my own sauce one day, but yeah, like I've instead of just being like the broke ass college kid that I used to be, right? It's like okay, I'm gonna start adding
Step it
this
up a little.
vegetable, and I'm gonna add in this vegetable. Did that work? No. Okay, not that one. How about this vegetable? Ooh, that
Mhm.
tastes good. How about sesame seeds? Let's see what that looks.
Mhm.
So I've slowly built that up. I'm slowly trying to perfect a macaroni and cheese
Ooh,
recipe,
that's a good one.
which is also good, but then I can't have it very often because it is just there's just so much fucking cheese. As much as I love it, it's like my heart
Mhm.
hates me.
Oh, I get it. I'm lactose intolerant, but I love cheese, so like
There
right
you
on
go.
board.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, and then there's another recipe which actually is what I'm gonna make tonight. So I'm gonna be doing some cooking
Woo.
too. Is something that my mom used to make all
Those
the
are the best part.
time. We didn't have a name for it, so we just called them tuna fish things. Like that was just what we call. Hey, mom, are you gonna make the tuna fish things? Yeah, I'll make the tuna fish things. Cool. Hey, when are you gonna make the tuna fish things? um, and they're literally just tuna fish stuffed croissant rolls,
Ooh.
and they're so good. It's just croissant rolls and then tuna fish with mayonnaise and mustard like mixed up, and then you put like a spoonful onto each one, and then you put cheese on them, roll them up and bake them, and serve it with like some
Cause like
rice, and it is
a tuna
amazing.
melt is already
It is
really
so
good,
good.
but then you put it in a croissant and like,
And it's just that flaky,
oh.
buttery goodness, and it is so good. And yeah, they're like surprisingly easy to make.
Mhm.
And they're so good. Like I remember I brought them to a potluck once when I was in college, and of course, when you go to a potluck in college, you expect everyone there
Bring
to
chips.
like, well, I brought a bag of chips and napkins.
I
It's like,
brought
oh, gee,
cookies
thanks, but
from Costco.
uh,
Some soda.
it's just a thing of Oreos. but but no. So yeah, we were like, okay, guys, like we actually have to make
Mhm.
food. Like none of this, stuff. So then it was like, okay, who's actually gonna be good at cooking food? Like whose food do I actually trust that this will be edible? And I came with the tuna fish things, and I was by far like that. Like we had no idea. Like you knew how to make these things. These things are amazing. I was like, they're so good.
That's great. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
the thing that I am probably best at making, which is a shame because nobody likes this, but I'm probably best at making, well, any kind of potato dish, but also green bean casserole, which I love,
Okay.
but other people in my family do not like. Like, I found out they've only been making it at Thanksgiving because I like it.
Not a huge green bean fan myself,
See, yeah.
but I'll if it's stuff like Thanksgiving or
Hmm.
Christmas, I'll at least have some.
Well, and so like that's been my thing that like that's what I want to bring to parties, but nobody likes it, so I don't. And I have learned how to make deviled eggs instead. Um, I also
That
learned
works
how to
too.
make a really good mashed
People really like that.
cauliflower because we've been trying to diet.
Interesting.
It's not going great. On my actual birthday, we went out to sushi for lunch with my whole family. And this is my favorite sushi place. Like, we'd been there like twice, and I was like, okay, this is where we're gonna go for lunch. And it's now like Cody and I have decided it's our sushi place because sushi's not terribly unhealthy for you, but we ate like our body weight in sushi. Um, so we went with our whole family, which was about 13 people. And when I called to make that reservation,
Hmm.
I mean, granted, it was like a Sunday afternoon lunch, but the lady like did not bat an eye, had no hesitation, was just like, "Cool, is it for something special?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're going for my birthday." And she's like, "Oh, okay, great." And she took my name down, and we go, and I haven't always liked sushi up until recently. And so Cody was like, "Here's what my friend and I, because he has a friend who they'll regularly go out to sushi after work. He's like, we always get 3 rolls, 1 roll each, and one to split." And I was like, "That sounds like a great idea. Like,
Hmm.
let's do that. It's a lot of sushi, but it's not too much." And so we order that. And then Cody's like, "It's your birthday. Do you want to order a side of gyoza?" Because I freaking love gyoza. It's so good. And I was like, "Absolutely, I do." And so we order a side of gyoza along with 3 sushi rolls. So we're like, okay, this is kind of a lot of food, but it's fine. It'll be fine. And then we're like eating. A lot of my family ordered like teriyaki because a lot of them haven't had sushi before, but like my brother ate teriyaki for the first time and loved it. So it was great because everybody
Interesting.
like got into a new thing. But we're like working on.
Yeah, I'm not a big sushi fit fan, so I just don't like seafood all that much in general. Even though I just said I can make those tuna fish things, that's like one of the only exceptions. But not having teriyaki, because I feel like there's a
My
lot of
brother's
teriyaki
so
places
picky.
up in Seattle. Like when I was up there, I remember
Oh, they're all
seeing
over the place.
just a
Yeah.
ton of teriyaki. Like they were
My brother's
everywhere.
just super, super picky. Um, But so what I do is I do like tempura sushi. I still can't do the raw stuff. I'm working my way there.
Hmm.
But we're like working on our gyoza. Everybody's having a good time. The people who ordered teriyaki, they've gotten it. And then the old lady who I think runs the place, she comes out. She's super nice. She's like, "Oh, and she says to me, I brought you gyoza." She brought me more gyoza, like free gyoza for my birthday. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's so sweet." Thinking that like that's gonna be like, oh, they give people free gyos on their birthday, give them a free side, no big deal, right? So then
Sure.
some of the sushi
Yeah.
rolls come, and there's like, okay, there's my 2 rolls, and then we're waiting on our third roll, which was a raw one. It was gonna be Cody's, and they bring out this huge sushi roll, and the guy's like, "A hilltop roll," and we're like, I don't think anybody ordered, because they're called hilltop sushi teriyaki and pho, or in some combination. If you live in the
Okay.
Federal Way area in Washington, go there. They're so good. So they do everything, and so it was like their signature roll. And Cody's like, "Well, I ordered the super rainbow," and the guy's like, "I don't think that is it. I'm gonna go check on it." And then he comes back in with the older lady again, and they're like, "Oh, it's for you for your birthday." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, no way!" So now we had 4 sushi rolls and 2 sides of gyoza. So we're like, okay,
Holy
this is kind of
moly.
a lot of food. And Cody, we basically each had 2 sushi rolls to ourselves because I won't eat the raw stuff. So he had 2 raw sushi rolls and I had 2 tempura sushi rolls, and we let other people try. But like the hilltop roll,
Yeah.
most sushi rolls, they're like this big with a little thing on top, right? The hilltop roll was like this tall.
Sure.
It was huge. And it
Yikes.
was like it came on a really long
Just
plate.
ginormous.
It was huge. And so we're like working our way through that. We've both eaten about a roll and a half of sushi probably, and everybody's starting to feel
Hmm.
full. And then they come out with more free food. I couldn't believe it. It was, I think it's called like a poke bowl or a, I don't know what it is, but it was a bowl with some veggies and a bunch of raw fish. And it was like
Huh.
insane. And they were like, "For you, for your birthday." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And so
That's
Cody and a couple of
amazing.
my aunts who do eat like raw sushi, they finished that. But it was ridiculous how much free food they gave us. And like it just kept coming.
Sounds like it was
And
ridiculous.
we spent the rest of the day playing Mario Kart on the couch because I was like, I can't fit any more food in my body, and I also can't move. Um,
Yeah, and if I move, I'm
yeah,
gonna explode.
but it was so good. But it was just like thing after thing, and I was like, "What?" And then like we're leaving, and I'm hugging my family goodbye, and then like really nice old lady is like, "Can I get a hug?" And I was like, "Of course, you guys are amazing." And now I'm determined, like,
Just don't hug me
yeah,
too hard.
right. And now I'm determined. Well, she was like kind of little, so I was worried about hugging her too hard. Um,
Because she's at like the right
yeah.
height where.
Um, I was like, yeah, I was like, ah! But she was so nice, and they were so nice. And so, like, that's Cody and I's sushi place now, and I'm determined I'm going to go back and I'm going to learn her name. I think there's only like 3 or 4 people that work there, because that's all I've ever seen. I'm going to learn everybody's
Okay.
names. It was amazing, but our diet pretty much hit a brick wall that day, and then we have not gotten back on it
Yikes.
since. It was so good, though.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. Speaking of birthdays, it is also Melissa's birthday this weekend. It was yesterday, as of recording this, and I guess by the time this goes public, will have been last week. So she's out in Chicago. That's why we did not record I guess we are recording this on Sunday afternoon. We usually record the Captain's Logs on Friday evening. And we usually do the review show Sunday morning. But she's out in Chicago partying it up.
Woo!
So that's why we are recording the review show, I think, tomorrow. So
Go Melissa.
lots of birthdays.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting old. No, just
Good
kidding.
stuff.
I mean, technically, everybody gets old every second of every day, but I try not to think about it.
There's this old Mitch Hedberg joke where he's talking about this guy who's like, hey, do you want to see a picture of me when I was younger? And then he goes, dude, every picture of you is
Right?
younger.
Every picture, even if it's only by a couple weeks.
It's fantastic. I love Mitch Hedberg's comedy.
I haven't actually seen any of
Yeah,
his
he's no
stuff,
longer
but I've
around.
seen like picture sets of it and stuff. He seems pretty funny.
Yeah, it's exactly what you would expect. Like, if you saw a picture of him or what he looks like when he's on stage, what you imagine his comedy to be is exactly what it is. He is just completely stoned out of his mind, and his entire comedy is just like stoned stuff. Just like, you realize that every picture of you is when you're younger?
Whoa, man.
Yeah. So, it's fantastic. I say we go ahead and wrap things up there. We've been talking for about an hour and a half.
Kudos to anybody who got
that's
all
good
the way
stuff,
here. I said
What was
kudos
that?
to anybody who got all the way to the end with us. Thank you.
Yes.
I don't think I'm
time.
entertaining, so I'm glad that some people do.
Well,
Which is weird 'cause I podcast.
Did you see the episode that we put out last? I guess the previous episode. It was me and Melissa, and apparently we think she found a sex cult, like, in this neighborhood. They have some like crazy thing. So there. If you listen all the way, there might be some interesting stories.
See, I
and
haven't listened to
stuff
it now, but I'm
in
going to.
these episodes. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Funny people, listen
But
to
yeah,
us.
I think we'll wrap things up there. A few housekeeping things. I think we finally made it to 25 subscribers on YouTube, which is fantastic. That's what I've been hoping for like
YouTube
months
friends.
now. Yeah, so now we need to get to 50, but that is going to take us forever. So if you guys can still go follow us on YouTube, and also go follow us here on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/the Whatnauts, or thewhatnauts.com/livestreams. Go follow us there, even if it's not your normal place of consuming this content. That would be fantastic. Reviews on iTunes, we can still use that. We still don't have any, and we really need your help with that. So if you are subscribed to this show, if you like it, if you like this show, if you like the review show, please go send us some kind reviews for that. That can really help us out. The most recent episode of the review show is on Venom, Lethal Protector, which is some of the comics I think the new movie is based off of. I don't know. I haven't seen the Venom movie, so
I might go
who
see it
knows?
tonight.
Yeah, I've heard it's either very bad or it's not as bad.
That's
as
what I've heard
people
too.
think. So
Seems
I don't
contradictory.
know what that means exactly, but Yeah, and then we have an episode on the audio drama podcast, King Falls AM, coming very shortly after this is released. You can listen to King Falls AM wherever you get podcasts, and that will be covered on the next episode of the review show. So go check that out as well. I think that's all the housekeeping for that stuff. So, Jess, where can they find you?
This
on
is
the
the part
interwebs?
where I look up what my Instagram is every single time because I can never remember. You can find me on Twitter at legend_of_Jess. I know it's a lot, but that's the only way I could get it. Or you can follow me on Instagram, which is honestly mostly pictures of my cat, at Accio Jess Beaver, which is ACCIO, and then Beaver is BEV like violin, ER. There is no A. If you follow somebody else with that name, it's not me. And then you can find the podcast that Eric and I work on for the Whatnauts, Questionable Commentary, on Twitter at QuestionableCo5. And I swear that's going to come out soon. Like we mentioned, Eric is taking a few weeks off to be a dad, which he does all the time, but to dad extra hardcore. And so we're almost there.
Yeah, we were hoping to get that out at the end of September. That didn't really happen. But things are slowly moving behind the scenes, and once things are kind of situated with Mannix, I think we'll get the ball rolling there very, very shortly. So be on the lookout.
Super excited for it.
Be on the lookout for that. The artwork is all is 99% done. Once I get a copy of that, I can put the logo on and stuff like that. But yeah,
it's gonna be
that should be
awesome.
coming soon. I actually just changed all of my things on the interwebs, so, which is kind of a big deal these days. Because now, like, when the internet was first a thing, right? You just made up whatever. You didn't want to go by your real name because you don't know who else is out there on the internet. And then once like Twitter got big and YouTube got big, then it was this big thing of actually maybe I should go by my real name, or at least a stage name that looks more like a real name.
You did change it.
People started using their real names and stuff like that. But then, by the time that happened, then I was like, oh, maybe I should do that too. Someone else already had Kyle Springer on Twitter, so I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep Hush 315. But I did finally change it to Yo Kyle Springer, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram now. I just made myself a personal Instagram account, and it matches. I'm on both of them at Yo Kyle Springer. So hopefully, and PSN name changes are coming soon too. So hopefully I can get that name. Don't anyone take it, or I will punch you in your sleep. Hopefully I can get. Hopefully I can get Yo Kyle Springer on PSN.
I'm gonna get a PlayStation and I'm gonna take it.
No, fuck you.
I've never owned a PlayStation. I'm gonna get
How
one
dare you?
to take your name.
Yeah. So that is the plan. You can find me on all those places at Yo Kyle Springer, and you can find updates about the show at the Whatnauts on Twitter. And last but not least, if you like this show or you like any of the other shows that we do, head on over to patreon.com/the Whatnauts, and you can support us for as little as $1 a month. And your support is essential. It helps us keep the lights on, keeps the mics on, and keep us rolling and making bigger and better content. And you get cool perks like early episodes too, so that is always helpful. That being said, I think that's it. This was episode 25. I had to look and see what number it was. We've done a quarter of these. Quarter of 100. That's exciting.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Episode 25 of the Captain's Log. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Adios, guys.